I have 115 reasons to talk about
Reason.
City, pun intended, but I will not. Is Bukayo Saka playing too much football? Because according to the data which I have found on transfer market, he has already played 20,690 minutes of overall football, and he is only 22, and he has scored 78 goals and 70 assists. If we compare this with Raheem Sterling is 29 years old, and Raheem Sterling has already played 41,547 minutes. He has played 568 games, and he doesn't look like he's 29. The similar case will happen with Bellingham. The similar case happened with Pedri, because in 2021 or 2022 season he has played in nearly 72 games in that calendar year. Then those injury period happened with him, and then after that he has been sidelined for most of this part. And if you see previous examples of how players are players were burnt out by the age of, let's say, 30, 31. Rooney is a prime example. Eden Hazard is a prime example. Then your Fernando Torres is a prime example. So is it really the uh, future of football stars? What do you guys think?
So I think like it is not just Saka who has started playing more football. It is just that more football has also started happening in general, and you've seen
Correct.
all sorts of managers, all players. Varane has spoke very vocally about it on
Hmm.
them trying to reduce the amount of football, and I think this is a trend that will just continue more and more because uh, as and when more football starts happening, you are likely to see more injuries, which we are sort of
Correct.
seeing this season. And as and when more senior players get injured, you'll see these young players come into the team to replace them and have to play a very high number of minutes of football. And I think for United fans, Kobe Menu is sort of the prime example. He only broke into the squad around December, but since then he has pretty much started every game. And this season, I think Alejandro Garnacho has also started quite a few games, more than most fans were expecting he would. So
Hmm.
I think it is a trend that will only continue, and I think it is also a trend uh, which is very prominent with English star boys as such. Because in the past, we you mentioned some very high profile names like Rooney. I think even star boys that were sort of a tier lower than Rooney, the
Hmm.
likes of Wilshere or someone like a
Yeah.
Theo Walcott, you have seen burnout as in not like mentally, but like the peaking too early happened for those players as well, and then injury issues started piling up. So yeah, it is an issue that is only going to go up, I feel.
Correct. But if you look at Bellingham's case, he is 20, and he has already played 16,399 minutes already. And he nearly starts every game for Madrid. Madrid, they don't even have any striker, and he's playing as a false nine if you see their games lately. But not just him, it just Pedri, then that uh, Gavi, then again the Kobe Mainu, the similar amount of games he खेल रहा है ये season. He has started most of the, again injuries are playing part, but that's the thing na कि if I think Raheem Sterling is the perfect example of players peaking early in their stages and then later they go down.
I think, of course, a lot of it is correct. Okay, like Azman mentioned on the similar lines as well. If you look at modern football today, there is now so much of, I think a lot has been happening in modern football. Of course, which is very much different from the era of football in which Rooney and Ronaldo were youngsters. Okay, or even Messi were youngsters. So modern football has changed. Secondly, a lot of it is also happening. We see an exaggerated effect in the Premier League, right? For multiple reasons, I feel is because the game in general has become more intense. अभी जैसे for example पहले यूरोज जैसा था, ठीक है, वर्ल्ड कप अभी आ रहा है. I think a lot many players are now just playing more and more football. Pre seasons में भी इतने सारे games हो गए हैं, ठीक है. तो now
There is
season is
Conference
technically
League
starting.
also.
Yeah, conference league aa gaya hai, so now even lower tier football clubs are now playing competition, right? The UEFA and FIFA are trying to extend the formats of the competition so that they get more match day revenue. That is happening. In general, training methods have probably become a bit more intense compared to
Hmm.
the other generations, because a lot of competitiveness has increased, and that competition has now also flowed into, let's say, Premier League, because a lot of clubs are now owned by these big owners who are pouring in money and want success. तो क्या हो रहा है ना, इतने सारे प्लेयर्स कंपटीशन से ग्रासरूट लेवल से आ रहे हैं. They are really much really there to prove themselves. They are working hard, they are trying to give the best. The game is becoming faster, more and more good players are joining even average clubs, and now you see a lot of competition even in top 6 in at least
Correct.
I would say English Premier League, but also I think competition in other places like La Liga has also increased, I would say. So
Girona has it.
yeah, so वो ही देख रहे हैं हम लोग. I think that is the effect. A lot of now per player output has increased so much that now it is getting into a cycle where players have to start peaking early, even though their body is not probably able to match up to that. So I think that's what's happening.
Okay. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I have a counterpoint, but I have one point to mention here. So,
Hmm.
last few seasons, Pep Guardiola was criticized by them because he was holding Phil Foden, apparently, according to their agenda. But if you
Hmm.
see Phil Foden's case, Phil Foden is now what, 23? He has played 19,774 minutes. It is
Hmm.
lesser than Saka, lesser than more than Bellingham. But again, Bellingham और उसके एज में भी 3 साल का डिफरेंस है. But Phil Foden has been there in Pep Guardiola's team since a very long time, and he hasn't been a very consistent starter, I would say. But whenever he has played a bigger and better role. And if you see the stats of this season he's their best player, not even Erling Haaland. And if you compare his case before turning 24, I will bifurcate Pep Guardiola's players. Before turning 24, KDB had played 13.6. Messi had played 16.5. So
Hmm.
I feel if you compare these three players, and if you compare your Raheem Sterling and all these cases, I think Pep Guardiola has done a fantastic job in the case of Phil
Hmm.
Foden, because he has not only protected him, but he has also produced and nurtured a superb talent, and he is their academy talent.
I think the major reason being is that City has that depth, and I think City is the
Agree.
only team that has that depth. Liverpool does not have it. United does not have it. मतलब of the top crop, of course, United में तो hardly कुछ है. But जो भी है, like Arsenal is also stretched thin in that case. So I feel City have that depth, and City have the luxury to have to span out those games for a player like Phil Foden.
Correct. And coming back on the original topic, which was Saka, he looked burnt out, man. If you see him right now, he's starting
Hmm.
every match. I don't think so. एक भी बार substitute हुआ होगा. लेट
नहीं
लाइक
नहीं हुआ है.
फर्स्ट हाफ में या मतलब पहले
हाँ.
गेम के वो बहुत
हाँ.
लेटर स्टेज में हुआ है सब्स्टिट्यूट. प्लस दे
उसके
डोंट हैव एनी
सब्स्टिट्यूट से ही लिंपिंग वाला
कोई.
मीम्स आया
हाँ,
है.
बट वो बेचारा लिंपिंग वाला मीम, आई सिंपैथाइज विद हिम, दो आई लाफ ऑन इट. बट यार वो कितना खेलेगा, वो इंग्लैंड के लिए भी हर गेम स्टार्ट करता है. एक ना एक दिन वो होगा ही बर्न आउट. एंड आई होप आई एम रॉन्ग, बट next year will be very crucial for Arsenal if they don't sign any. bench option, good fucking bench option for him.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why I felt Mikhailo Mudryk would have been a good player for Arsenal.
And it is
I
quite
think with young,
surprising
yeah,
because England has a lot of, England has had an example in Michael Owen. England has an
yeah,
example in Rooney. These
Hmm.
are those English crop players, top-notch players who have burnt out so early in their
Early in the
career,
stage.
relatively.
Yeah.
ठीक है कि मतलब I think I mean there should at least be some sort of an English board intervention कि भाई मतलब हमारा भी प्लेयर है ऐसे खिला खिला के इसको मरा मत दो but yeah, I mean that is for the management to decide. So
I think also it is very hard for a manager to convince a young player that you won't be playing because we want to protect you for the future. Because the young player must be thinking that this is my time. I am finally able to start every game and I'm performing and I'm scoring. And suddenly the manager says, okay, you won't play a match because I want to protect you from some future injury.
Hmm.
I don't think so. 18, 19-year-old will understand that aspect right now.
there is only one answer to it, by you have to be Guardiola.
Yeah.
तो
उसका भी किधर सुना, जेडन सैंचो एंड कोल पाल्मर तो निकल ही गए.
but we can see how they are doing. I mean, Cole Palmer is at least doing well. I think Sancho, to his credit, is also doing well.
Guardiola's example is also very selective. Only the players he thinks are very talented, उन्हीं को
Hmm.
वो level का protection offer करता है. Someone
Hmm.
like Calvin Phillips was thrown away, right? Okay, not useful. You are fat and all
I
these
don't think
things.
so it was his signing anyway.
That
वो
I think
बाद
that
में
I
अलग
think
टॉपिक है
that
वो
is
डिस्कस करने के
that
लिए.
should be the
City में
116th
सब signings तो
charge
Guardiola
I
के
have
होंगे यार.
I have 115 reasons to talk about
reason.
City, pun intended, but I will not. Yeah. So देखते हैं क्या होता है बकायो साका का, because next season will be very crucial for them, Arsenal, if they bottle the league again this year.
Hopefully.